Hello, this is Sun Tzu, and I'm here with Reynad, the captain of Tempo Storm, and he's just made it through the group of death. How do you feel right now?
Pretty excited and surprised, honestly. I kind of mischose my decks for the tournament. I didn't have a straight counter to Miracle Rogue like I should have, and that puts me in a situation where I can win game one pretty easily with any three of my decks, but after that, if they switch to Miracle Rogue, I have to kind of win one of two coin flips in order to close out the set. So, it's going to be a bit of variance, but if I can win a few coin flips, I can keep going further, hopefully.
Yeah, there's actually been a bit of talk, from what I've heard, about the fact that Miracle Rogue, because it takes so much time to think through the turns, and then you have to play them so fast, that playing Miracle Rogue on the iPad is actually sort of nerfing it. It's almost balanced.
Yeah, it's like the best. Yeah, you can see that in like my games against the Viets. It's not just Miracle Rogue. I was playing Druid and I messed up because of the iPad thing. It's like it's not something that a lot of us players are familiar with because we stream from the comfort of our home. We play on like our PCs and stuff. So you're trying to work with an iPad, and it's really easy to misclick and lose the game because of it. So luckily nothing too horrible's happened yet. So hopefully you can keep going that way. But yeah.
Yeah, and definitely like the key to your victories here, it seemed like you played so patient. Is this something that you've always had? I mean, when you stream, you seem like a guy who never gets phased. But is this just like the guy you've always been, or when did you develop this quality?
Yeah, I mean, I play patient when I need to. I play like the further I am behind, the more risky I'll play. It's just like you just have to know how to adapt to the situation. Like in that mage game where I held the flare a bunch, it's a bunch of people that look like a really impressive play, but to me, like the thought of playing it didn't even cross my mind because it's like I know how the matchup plays out on turn 9, 10, 11, 12, and it's like not possible to lose if I just have that card in my hand. So I just held on to it until the turn where he tried to go offensive with Extraza and got his ice block and won the game.
That's really awesome. Now, you've also, or it's just been announced that Proton will be joining Team Tempo Storm.
Really?
What was the sort of thought process in getting him involved, and what do you hope to get out of having him on board?
Well, I'm reasonably good at getting the players to practice, at like focusing on things for events and all that, getting them organized. I can give advice like a coaching role, but what I'm terrible at is paperwork. I can't get like documents done, travel arrangements. We rented like a bed and breakfast on top of a hill with 200-year-old Swedish encyclopedias everywhere. It's like Bilbo Baggins' house. 200-year-old treasure chests everywhere. It's really rustic and it has character. I like it, but Tides and Gara are a little. I don't know. They're wusses. They want a normal hotel and all that. But yeah, anyway, it's little stuff like that I mess up. I'm just terrible at organizing stuff. So having Proton on board will just help us be a lot more organized in terms of like getting to events, getting what we need to done, approaching sponsors, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, he's a guy that I met at last DreamHack actually in Bucharest. I kind of talked a bit, and I was just really impressed at how good he is at like speaking to people and all that, and just being friendly to everyone, which is like the polar opposite of my skill set. Whereas I just fire shots all the time, and piss people off. So it brings a good balance to the team. He's a good face, I think, of the team, and yeah, it's just we're lucky to have him.
Yeah. What was the sort of selection process with the other members of the team?
Yeah.
What were you looking for?
I'm really proud of that. So I have like 7 years of Magic background experience, and I played like on a really high level in Magic, which is honestly like it's more complex at the highest level than Hearthstone is. So I got like good at I played against good players and bad players, and I kind of got good at like differentiating who's who by just watching them play. So when I decided to make a team in like March, Tides is someone I'd played against a few times. I legitimately thought and still believe he's the best control player in the world, especially Warrior. I don't think it's marginally close. So he was like the first hire, brought him on board. Reckful impressed me a lot with his play. I think he's one of the top two rogues in the world. Whether he or Hyped is better, I'm not sure. But he's such a fast learner that he just, like, we don't see a lot of Reckful in tournaments. He's a really big guy, but like that wouldn't be playing this Hunter deck if Reckful wasn't there preparing with us with the team. That's like all Reckful. So he still contributes, and yeah, just a really brilliant guy. Gara, I wanted a roster of about 4 players or so. And I started looking at first I held tryouts with like top 20 legend players that are my friends list. Like on my NA account, I have like 40 legend players or whatever. So I just started talking to them, gauged interest in a team, played some best of fives. none of them really stood out to me or impressed me. Gara ended up sending me a PM. He's like, hey, I heard on your stream you're looking for a team, blah, blah, blah. You know, I've been rank 1 with Hunter and all of that, and that really impressed me at the time. That was like unheard of. That's back before Hunter really blew up. But, so I wanted to stream. This guy, Gara at the time, averaged 15, 20 viewers. You know, I would never have heard of him had he not PM'd me. But I went through his past broadcasts, and I just watched them for 10 minutes, and I was just like, you know, boom, you're in. Like, that's exactly the type of thinking that I want in a player. So he's just like a brilliant guy. And yeah, hyped. I wanted to expand the roster by one more player, get more content up on tempostorm.com for you guys, and just have another player competing in events. And hyped is a player that I actually approached him when I first made the team as well. That was before I knew whether I could salary players, whether, you know, it would be worth his time, but it's been going really well so far. I don't think it's debatable that we're the #1 team in the game right now, at least, so I'm not too worried about investing in the players and salarying a 4th one, and yeah, I'm been really happy with Hype's performance. He's been super helpful. He's honestly contributed as much to preparing for this event as any of us. You know, we couldn't be doing without him. But that was the selection process. Hyped I'd played against a lot, even before there was a ranked system on, or actually, no, maybe after. But yeah, he's just all these players just basically impressed me in their own way, and are just far above like a high tier legendary player. You know, they're all like innovators. That's really big too.
Yeah, and you also said that, you know, Rekful and these guys, they help you a lot in terms of building decks. Now, you are, of course, known as a very good deck builder, but
yeah.
if you were to pick, who is the second best on a team?
Sides, I guess. Well, or Hyped. It's one of the two. Hyped is the guy that was the first one to put Leroy plus double Farseer or Azure Drakes in a rogue deck, which really made it. It took it from being a variance-ridden deck that could only win when a Drew Auctioneer into being the unstoppable, you know, 99% win rate monster. He got legendary rank #1 and #3 in NA when he discovered the deck. Like, he just didn't lose games. So yeah, got to give Hyped for rogue, absolutely. And Tides, I've just seen innovating decks for a good long time, but we bounce ideas back off each other. Like, Gara and I disagree a lot on certain Druid builds all the time. Tides and I disagree on stuff, but it's good to have people disagree on things, because the things that we do agree on, we're like 100% sure are correct, and that's really helpful. Makes it easy to identify what's the best. So.
Yeah, and also definitely like the fact that you don't have these simple yes men, it helps sort of push the boundaries of the thinking in the group. Now, going back to sort of like pushing the boundaries of the thinking, a couple months back, or quite a few months back, there was this whole slow meta, and like the rush decks were seen as something bad and unskilled. And I remember you, I think you were on a stream and you talked about how you felt like this was wrong. There was, for some reason, it wasn't how it actually looked to you.
Yeah, well, back in that day, it was before I made my YouTube video about Zoo, so I was the only person playing it. I streamed myself getting Legendary in Asia playing it. That's back when it had stuff like Pit Lords. But to me, this aggro deck, this Zoo deck that only I was playing, I'm like, holy shit, this deck is insane, you know? And everyone else is like, it hadn't gotten popular, so everyone was still playing Control and stuff. That's kind of why my results were skewed. I felt like if more people were playing Zoo, aggro would be, you know, up on top, and that deck really took off because it's broken and incredibly polished and just really good. And you know, now there's good balance, I feel like. You know, you see a lot of low rank Zoo, but that's just because, you know, the deck's affordable. Not everyone can afford legendaries, but yeah, like it's more balanced now that a good aggro deck got popular, I feel like.
Yeah. What do you think? We don't really see the really slow decks. What would it take to the really slow decks to sort of work in these tournaments?
It's almost nothing, because every class has access to burst. So if you're ever at a point where you're playing cards like Ysera and Ragnaros and Alexstrasza all in the same deck to try to go over the top of your opponent, it makes you not only vulnerable to burst, but it makes you vulnerable to Faceless Manipulator, which is a really big deal. That card keeps a lot of these late game decks in check. Because if I just play a mid-range deck with 2 Faceless Manipulator, I will destroy the Ysera super late game deck every time. And yeah, that's a big part of it. Yeah, you just have to kind of, when you're building decks at a higher level, like trying to decide what works, what doesn't, a lot of it's just based off of what cards are popular at the time and how they interact. Like, if Faceless Manipulator is popular, that's when you want to play Cenarius, you know? If there's 0 Faceless Manipulator, you can start looking at Ysera. But yeah, it's little stuff like that just gives you edges.
Yeah. I think it's also sort of like having a bit of MTG background as well. The first thing that I noticed when I came over to Hearthstone was that you can assign blockers, and I think that sort of innately makes the game more fast-paced. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, it gives it a snowball effect, because if you get board position and you're the first player making attacks, you dictate what attacks what. In Magic, the defender dictates what fights what, so the defender has the advantage, but in Hearthstone, it's the person on the offensive. And that gets you some snowbally games. You know, if you get a Harvest Golem in play and that card just sticks, all of a sudden you're deciding what's taking damage and your opponent isn't. So that's just, yeah, that's why decks like Zoo can snowball in a lot of cases. And yeah.
You've also talked about a couple of these MTG sort of theory craft things. For example, the efficient mana theory. Yeah, using up your mana crystals on every turn as much as possible. Yeah, stock mana. Are there any other of these sort of MTG theories that you're sort of bouncing around that you think can have a real impact on the game?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of basic stuff. Theory of fire, theory of card advantage. Like, it's like there's so many. Magic has like 20 years of deck building history, and people have just kind of found what works and what doesn't. And my entire knowledge of Hearthstone, all it is just a combination of a bunch of like ideas from Magic. I wouldn't say there's like one theory that like will make anybody a legendary player, but it's just when you kind of understand a bunch of different concepts and put them all together, you become a better player, like more well-rounded. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. Sort of, what is one card that if you could try and build a deck around it, what would be the one card that you really wish you could find a way to utilize?
Elite Sorin Chieftain. I love that card. I was this close to playing it, and my teammates were also this close to playing it in all of our Druid decks. We were testing that card a lot. It's actually like very good. But yeah, I'm a pussy. I didn't pull through, so I don't know. We are where we are. I wish I did though. That card's sweet.
Yeah, well, it's not a bad place to be, so. And good luck to you tomorrow. And this has been Sun Tzu for On Gamers. And we'll see you again tomorrow. More content. Keep watching.